It's good morning, Madeleine Cleary and Tina Strachan. Welcome to Yellow Shelf, ladies.
Thank you.
Hi, thanks for having us.
Oh, it's a pleasure. I'm excited because there's so many synergies from Yellow Shelf's perspective to what you both do and your podcast show. You're here today talking about your podcast show. Congratulations. Tell us about the podcast show. Tell us what we need to know. The podcast is called The Book Deal Podcast. Who wants to take away? Tell us all about it.
I'm going to start because it's funny. The book deal we had a different name, didn't we, Tina, when we were first discussing ideas? And I think I said to you, oh, the book deal, because of
hmm
course we're talking books. There's so
hmm
many synergies, and really, I mean, what our podcast is all about is really understanding that pathway to publication. And I think it's fair to say, Tina, and you can disagree if you like, but the publishing industry can be sometimes a little opaque, and it also can look a little frightening from the outside. Like, what are these publishers inside the industry talking about? How do acquisitions meetings work? How does publicity and marketing work? So really wanted to break down, I think, those barriers to the understanding and really help emerging writers who want to become debut authors. What
hmm
do you reckon, Tina?
Yeah, I think, yeah, when you came up with that name, actually, it was gold because it was like we still hadn't really decided on a name. We still hadn't really decided on what we were going to do. And, TBD, the acronym there of like to be decided, right, as well, like it made complete sense. And also I think that symbolizes for aspiring authors as well. Like it's just, it's to be decided where your journey's going, but it's a journey that you're on. You just don't know what path it's going to take. And so I thought that was really quite special. And yeah, like Madeline said, the book deal, it's about how do you get that deal? That's what everybody really, really wants to know. But also, what is the deal with the publishing industry as well? So it was a
And
great.
I think like it works because we bring different aspects and angles to the publishing industry. Like I am an adult fiction writer, and Tina, you're in the kidlit space. And actually, there is quite a lot of difference between them. So we interview authors on their pathways to publication from across the whole industry, but we also interview publishing professionals as well. So publishers, publicity, booksellers, because we want to see the industry from every single angle. And we've got a pretty loyal following now, Tina, don't you think?
Yeah, we do. It's great. It's the best. I don't know. You've probably experienced this too, Joe, but when people come up to you and say, I love the pod, or I've listened to every episode, or I was listening to it in the car just then. Oh, it's the best because, yeah, I do actually forget that people listen to us and it's not just
Yes.
me chatting to someone else.
We do like a fortnightly catch up, just Tina and I talking pretty crap stuff for just about our lives. And I think a lot of people have said to us that's the stuff we enjoy. So we don't just interview authors, we also have a chat.
And your point there is taking on feedback from the audience. I think that's really wonderful. You guys probably know this, but you're at least 45 episodes into this podcast show.
Yes, it's gone fast. We've just done a year. We've clocked over a
Yes,
year, haven't we,
yes.
Madeline?
I know. And it
hmm
sounds like a lot, doesn't it? 45. I think at that point we'd interviewed 33 writers as well, or guests. And
Yeah.
so it is a lot. And Tina and I both have day jobs. We're both writers. And life becomes very busy after you've published as well, because you're continuing to do events. And the podcast is almost like a part-time job, but we love it and we're getting so much out of it.
It's
Yeah.
so fun.
And ladies, tell us about, I'd love to you to share both about your backgrounds. Please feel free to mention your books in this space because I know people will be listening and they'll be curious. Tell us a bit about yourselves, how this all came together.
All right, well, I'll start on that one.
Because Tina,
So
you're the brainchild of this. So
Oh, well, I think we were thinking along the same lines anyway, weren't we, Madeline? So when I actually just, announced that I was thinking of doing the book deal, it didn't take Madeline long to contact me and say, "Do you need a co-host? Can we co-host?" So that was awesome, and yeah, such a great opportunity. But I guess so. Where did it all start? So yeah, I am an author. I am a kidlit author, so I like writing children's books. I'm a debut author this year as well, and my first book came out in January this year. It's a series. It's called the Wilder Zoo series, and the first book was called Nika and the Missing Key, and the second book came out in July. and it's published with HarperCollins. And I feel very fortunate to be with them, and I've learned a lot from them, and it's been a great experience. And it's illustrated by the incredible Max Hamilton. And I was part of the debut crew. That's how I met Madeleine. I was very fortunate to also be part of the 2024 debut crew because my book was originally scheduled for 2024, and that's just been such an incredible opportunity and experience because with debut authors it's the first time we've signed, so no one really knows much about this publishing industry. It's like this mythical, magical, secret world. And, it was incredible as you see the year go on where the first person in the group gets published. You've already started making these connections, and then one person gets published and everyone's so excited and everyone's living through them. And then the next person, and the next person. And everyone's got these questions like, what happens now? What are you doing now? And just having this, this group and this really supportive world of everybody just sharing information, and it's just a really beautiful thing. And so that was one of the reasons why I thought, I want this information is gold. Like I wanted this information beforehand, and it's so hard to find. And so, there are some things that must stay within the debut crew, walls of secrecy. But there's lots of experiences that people are willing to share outside of that. And that's so important because, I signed a couple of years ago, but before that, I was an aspiring author. I had no idea how you got a book deal. It was just so foreign. And I loved listening to people's authors' success stories, how they got their book deal. I could not get enough of them, and I just would feast on these podcast interviews, mostly of authors telling a story about how they got there, because I was like, there has to be some clue in this, right? There has to be some instructional tips and tricks of how to get there. And I think the thing that I realized was that there is no tips and tricks really. There's lots of helpful advice, but everybody's journey is different. Everyone's journey is different. And that was the thing that I loved also knowing, was that it is different. So you just have to pave your own way forward. And those stories are so hugely inspirational and motivational, especially if you're trying to get signed, or you're someone who's just had your 50th rejection. You listen to one of those stories of someone who's signed and they had 100 rejections. And there's nothing more motivating. So a little bit selfish, I wanted to hear all those stories for myself, so I thought, why not start a podcast, but also to share that with everybody else as well.
Wonderful. What about your experience in that cloak and dagger world of publishing? Because, I know that in the last couple of years, publishing, has been on its journey through this digital transition as well. But lots of cloak and daggers. Madeleine, what was your experience?
Yeah, I was very similar to Tina. And I suppose before I got my book deal, I didn't actually have any connections at all into the industry. I'd been working overseas, and so I'd spent a lot of time overseas, and I was in Canberra, and I just knew nothing. And so I did the same thing. I went on to podcast to try and find author interviews. And I wasn't actually a big podcast consumer, but a friend said to me, you have to check out this podcast called The First Time with Catherine Collette and Kate Mildenhall. And I think I listened to 650 episodes or something within a very short space of time. And so for me, I guess, so I'm got a very, a quite similar background, I suppose, to Tina, in that didn't really know much about it. It did feel very opaque, and podcasts were the things that really helped me. And so when Catherine Collette and Kate Mildenhall announced that they were actually pausing the First Time podcast, I was so upset. Like I remember actually feeling physically unwell because it was such an amazing podcast. And so Tina and I have spoken with Catherine quite regularly, and she encouraged us. She said, well, go on, why don't you guys do it then and just start it? And so I think her sort of support and endorsement really pushed us to keep that mantle going. And I think our podcast is a little bit different though. There's some similarities, but we do, because I think that, like you said, Joe, like there is a bit of cloak and dagger, and the industry does change quite rapidly. So what might have been relevant, 5 years ago might not be relevant today. So, we're dealing with things like AI and all sorts of things. So there's so many different topics and profit margins and all sorts of things. So to have that current, I think, information is really, really critical.
Yeah. Oh, look, ladies, such wonderful shares about your own journeys. I know people are watching, people watch this as emerging authors. So I know others will go and check out your podcast if we're watching around the world, if we're curious. I know you both have your own websites, which I'll put in the show notes, but feel free to share with us. How do we connect with you? How do we connect with the show?
So we have an email address. So you can reach out to us, the bookdealpodcast@outlook.com. We do get lots of amazing pitches. So if you're interested to come on our podcast, if you've got an interesting story to share, we love an interesting pathway to publication story. We're also really interested, I think, in what else as well. We've done some great episodes recently on how to use social media. If you've got like a book selling background or something else as well, we're really interested in that. And taking it, I think, to, how to develop a career in writing. I think we're really, really keen on those types of things. And I'm also on Instagram and Facebook as well. So if you just search my name. And what about you, Tina?
Yeah, I'm the same. Instagram's probably the best way to get us, and the podcast as well is on Instagram, and that is a really good way to get a hold of us and to follow us on there, because we like to post when we all have our new episodes. And yeah, the podcast, you can find it on all the directories. So yeah, if you subscribe, you'll get a little notification each time it comes up.
Ladies, I will put all those links in the show notes to make it really easy. I'm going to just throw out a really cheeky question to end this for both of you. Are there more books coming, ladies? Like, is that the aspiration? You've got day jobs, you've got families and juggles and podcast show. Are there more books to come for both of you?
Yes.
Can I be cheeky with my answer? Oh, Madeleine! I was going to say, I'm going to be cheeky with my answer, and you'll have to tune into the book deal to find out more, is what I was going to say.
Love that. Perfect answer.
That's all we'll say. Yes, but you have to listen in.
Look, sold, ladies, sold. Congratulations. Thank you so much for joining us here. All the best.
Thank you, Jo.
Thanks so much.
Cheers.